Little tweaks and giant wins. Consistently, time and time again. I've been working on me, making little tweaks. I'm on a winning streak, making little tweaks 1 inch at a time. Create giant wins, I know it because I'm living my best life, living better than good. Welcome to the podcast with Jill Underwood. This is another episode of Little Tweaks and Giant Wins.
Hey, welcome back for another episode of Little Tweaks, Giant Wins. Today, I have an amazing, inspirational man, Mike Claudio. Welcome, Mike Claudio.
What's up? What's up?
It's so good to see you. How have you been?
I mean, I feel like it's been a while since I've seen you.
It has been a while since I've seen you.
Yeah. Things have been going well. You know, win rate really hit a growth spurt this year. So really just been head down doing a lot of work. And making sure like everything's maintaining, right? You know, I put a lot of content out. I put a lot of stuff out into the world. I help a lot of people. And, you know, obviously with 2 young children, the nonprofit, everything that goes on, you know, I've really just been head down, just kind of just keeping up with it all.
Right. Tell me, I do want to go right into the Champion Shoes, your nonprofit. I think that is a brilliant idea. And I hear that you have scored some major success. So tell us all about your nonprofit and how that evolved and what it looks like now and how many people you're helping.
Sure. So a Champion Shoes is a nonprofit my wife and I started last year to provide name brand shoes to children, you know, underprivileged children throughout the country who need a little help and need a little guidance, need a little confidence in their day. You know, obviously, I think even as adults, we would agree there's nothing quite like putting on a new pair of shoes, right? You walk a little taller, you feel a little better, you're a little more confident. And I think that, you know, we forget how hard it is for a lot of children to get shoes that are new or shoes that even fit right. And so where it came from, because I was like, where did this come from? So Tiffany and I, my wife, we always, at the end of every year, for as long as I can remember that we've been together, we've always done what we call the balancing of our blessings. And we've always given back in some sort of meaningful way. And like early in our marriage, it was volunteer time because we didn't have any money. And then, you know, we started getting some money. So we started writing checks to the church and stuff like that. And then last year, you know, I have 2 sons, MJ and Everett. You know, MJ was 4 at the time. He's 5 now. Everett's 3. And we want to get them involved. And like writing a check isn't really impactful for a child, right? They don't get the concept of it. So we were on our family walk one night. And I was like, MJ, like, we want to give back in a really cool way this year. Like, what do you love? And like most 4-year-olds, it's like what's closest to his face. He's like, I like my new shoes. And I was like, all right, cool. Wouldn't it be like so cool if we went and bought 100 pair of shoes and gave them to kids who didn't have any new pair of shoes? He was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. We get the red ones. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds great. And so that was where it started. It was just like, let's buy 100 pair of shoes and donate them to kids who need them last year for Christmas. And then in typical Mike Claudio fashion, I was driving home from the gym one day and I'm like, this isn't how I do things. Like, why am I limiting it to this year? And why am I limiting it to 100 pairs? Like, why am I doing that? And so I was like, I got home from the gym that morning and I literally Googled how to start a nonprofit and I followed the steps. And that's kind of how a Champion Shoes was created. I literally just, we were going to give back anyway. And I was like, let's start a nonprofit. And you know, with no goals in mind and no intention, it was just like, let's start it. And, you know, worst case, I do what I was going to do anyway. And I'll take $5,000 and buy 100 pair of shoes and we'll help 100 kids. It doesn't matter. But we'll start a nonprofit. Maybe something special will happen. And so it took like 6 or 8 weeks, which was like, you know, September, October of 2020. And then we got all the paperwork together, got the IRS stuff back, got the nonprofit set up. And then we released it. You know, basically like, hey guys, we're doing this thing on social media. It was Black Friday last year. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we raised like $35,000 and sent out, you know, about 400 pairs of shoes, and like hand purchased, hand wrapped, hand shipped from our garage in 4 weeks. We had no idea what we were doing. But we learned a lot. We learned a lot about the process, and we learned a lot about the organization of like getting the shoes in and out, because we wrap every pair. So even just remembering and helping people understand like which pair of shoes is for which kid, right? We had to figure that out the hard way, you know, because you wrap a pair of shoes, like, well, who's this one go to? And we're like, we don't know. Shit, that ain't going to work. Right. So like we had to figure that out kind of the hard way too. And then So that was last year. First quarter this year of 2021, we kind of just like we needed a break. Like it was so much work and so much pairs of shoes and so many kids and so fast. So first quarter, not a lot happened, and then Tiffany ended up quitting her job at Bank of America to support me on win rate and on the champion shoes. So we kind of took it seriously. We hired some people. We made another push for back to school this year, and we ended up doing a little over 1,000 pairs for back to school in about 5 weeks. So here we are now. We're basically gearing up for our Christmas push again. Our goal is to do 2 to 3 big pushes a year, because it's a lot. I mean, it was right now we don't really have any major backers to help us get shoes. So I literally go to stores and like, hey, I need 200 pairs, and I like go hand pick them off the shelves. Like, it's time consuming, it's cumbersome, it's expensive. So we're in talks right now with a pretty major supplier to get us involved in that and to get us set up for that and to help us, scale. It's not in place yet, but we're in the talks making that happen. And from there, ultimately, we're taking it one step at a time. But where we're at right now is, we've helped several thousand kids in the last year that wouldn't have been helped otherwise. And ultimately, our goal is to help create confidence. So the process, I think it's really cool, the process we built. So every pair of shoes gets a few things. It gets a pair of socks. It gets a handwritten card to the child that says, "We believe you are capable. Go be a champion." And then we actually started putting pre-postage thank you cards in the boxes, so kids can start to learn gratitude and write a thank you card back to us. So we've gotten about, 40 or 50 thank you cards back where kids have actually written or drawn something, or, but it's cool to see like a kid, taking the time to actually
I
write
love that.
And so, so it has our information on it. It's pre-postage. The kids can fill it out. I have a whole wall here in my office that's got all the cards stuck to it. But it's cool. Like, we give them an opportunity, to say thank you and show gratitude and be appreciative of, the gift, because it took somebody else donating money for them to get that. It takes a lot of time and effort to make it happen. And we thought the thank you card would be great, and like from a business perspective, it was great for the social proof side. Right? A lot of nonprofits don't deliver on what they say they're going to do, and we wanted to be different. So we did this to show like we are actually helping kids to the point where they're willing to write a thank you card and mail it back. And from a business perspective, it shows the social proof, but also it gives the kid an opportunity to express some gratitude and learn gratitude and be a part of that. And so, from here, I'm not sure what's next exactly. But from this perspective, we've accomplished a lot more than we would have otherwise by not starting it. And now we get to kind of take it to the next level and get more people involved. And, right now we're kind of gearing up for the Christmas push.
So are you just helping the kids that are like local there in North Carolina where you are?
No,
or
we've shipped
is this a
to
nationwide thing?
It's nationwide. I think we've shipped to like 27 states so far.
Mm-hmm. How do you decide who gets them? Where does that information come from?
We typically work with organizations, right? Like Boys and Girls Clubs, Big Brother, Big Sisters, churches, schools. That's been the primary big bulk of it. But also through our website at championsshoes.org, you can submit a child in need. So like, let's say your daughter plays soccer and one of her best friends, like their parents can't buy her new cleats. You can submit that child in need through the website, and we will purchase for that person and send it right to them.
That's so cool that it's like so specific, right? Soccer cleats, 13-year-old girl in a size 8. You get that specific with it?
Yep.
That's outstanding.
Yep.
So I have a little bit of a connection with a large company whose, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but whose logo is Just Do It. And I had a conversation with him like last week to see what I could do for your champion shoes gig. So fingers crossed that I can help make something happen. What else could I do? Could my listeners do to help a champion shoes to help more kids in our neighborhoods?
I mean, look, money is our limiting factor, and like purchasing shoes is getting more expensive even now with like supply chain issues and stuff. So, obviously donating money is helpful. That helps the cause happen, but really getting us connected with local organizations where you are, like I said, Boys and Girls Clubs, Big Brother, Big Sister, schools, churches, sports teams, all these things. Like, there's kids everywhere who have a need. We're interested in, like, just being straightforward, going through an organization like that helps us filter that, like, the kids who actually have a need, right? Because through the website, we're not judging and like confirming that that kid actually has a need. And we know for a fact people are going to take advantage of that, but that's not our job, is to judge their integrity. If someone tells me a kid needs shoes, they're getting shoes. But going through these organizations helps us make a little bit of a bigger impact, because they can get us a bigger list. It allows us to make, help a whole classroom or a whole school or a whole, youth group. We're about to buy like a bunch of shoes for an after school program. So like helping us find people locally who have, groups of children who need help, allow us to get more shoes on a more efficient basis. But ultimately just awareness, like share it, follow our Instagram page, Champion Shoes, donate. Like that's the best. Those are the best. Like we need kids, we need awareness, we need money.
Kids, awareness, money. Copy that. Okay. I'm on it. Okay. Hold on. Got to write that down. Didn't you just recently, in the past few months or so, become a #1 best-selling author?
Full transparency, I'm not sure I hit #1 best-selling author. We had a little bit of a hiccup on the day we released with reporting, but I think it was like top 3. But yeah, no, I'm a published author. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you're a published author. Tell me about your book. It's called #2strong, I believe.
Yep, that's accurate. So #2strong is a book about the life lessons that I have in a number of ways that have led me to systems, strategies, tactics, routines that relate to winning. Ultimately it's #2strong, how to win fast and win often in a world full of obstacles. So the book talks about lessons around time management, goal setting, how to look the right way, how to act the right way, how to work out, how to budget your money, how to build relationships, how to, follow through on things, how to build a life that is setting you up to overcome the challenges that are headed in your direction, right? Because it's not one facet, it's not one thing. Like just having money is not enough. Just being hard-headed is not enough. There's ways that like I've met a lot of people who just don't have the information necessary to go out and build a life around success, right? Just little things about like how to approach a situation, how to network properly, how to structure your time effectively, how to communicate effectively, how to set goals, how to budget your money. These are all things that like most people have never been given guidance on. And this book's not talking at anybody. It's literally just like, hey, here's a life experience where I failed. Here's what happened. Here's what I learned. Here's what I created or implemented to fix it. I hope that helps you. And so it's really just a lot of life lessons that I went through in my journey, because I have had some level of success, and I do carry myself a certain way, and people do look up to me, and I appreciate that. And I take it seriously, not in a cocky way, but like I know for a fact that like I have learned really hard lessons and I've implemented really good strategies to overcome them. And there are people out there that I would hope to give that lesson to, so they don't have to learn it the hard way.
Has your life always been this way? Did you just wake up one morning and say, I'm just going to be this cool and this awesome and this structured? How did you get to this point? What was your life like before you became the man that you are right now?
Somebody asked me, or actually earlier today on a podcast interview, that, Mike, what got you here? Right. And this is the answer just came out. I didn't pre-plan this, but I think it was the perfect answer. I got really good at failing.
Tell me more.
So I have had some massive failures in my life. Like I failed out of college, developed a drinking problem, became obese. Like I was 320 pounds at one point, like lost, confused, suicidal, like.
Really?
Yeah. The book actually opens with it, honestly.
Really?
Uh-huh. And so I just got really good at figuring out how to crawl out of the hole, out of the darkness. Like I got really good at, so the win fast, win often, which I'm sure you've heard, right? You've heard me talk about it and say about it. It's the tattoo that's on my arm. It's most of my branding is around it. It's not a tagline for me. It was a survival mechanism. I had to win the next decision, or I would crawl back into the bottle. I had to win the next decision or I would eat wrong. I had to win the next decision or I wouldn't work out. Like I found myself several times in my life in very dark, deep places. And the win fast, win often mentality is like, I just learned how to overcome failure somewhat effectively because I failed a lot. Like, I'm like, look, I haven't like killed anybody or like, I'm sure there's people that have worse stories than I do, but like, I still have like the worst things I've ever done. Everybody has that list, right? And so I just learned how to fail forward and like learn from it and implement changes and implement strategies and continue to like not give up. Like I think a lot of people like they fail and then they become stagnant because they think that defines them. Like there's a big part of the book around like understanding and defining what a failure is. It's an action. It's not a defining moment. It's not who you are forever. And a lot of people say, well, someone like me could never do that. Well, who the fuck are you? And just if that's who you are right now, just well then change into somebody who could do that. And I learned how to change into somebody who could do that. And through little things and little wins and little decisions, and like I don't look at even winning the day anymore. It's like I got to win the next decision. And that's just like the mantra of how I've gotten to where I am, is just getting a little bit better, like understanding what a winning the decision looks like, understanding what I want, who I want to be, what I want to be known for, and getting very intentional about manufacturing the shit out of that.
That is so powerful. And I'm stuck on when the next decision. That is so just drilled down that so many people miss that, right? The other thing that I heard you say, and I had this conversation with a gal yesterday. I'm doing this thing, this John Maxwell thing, um, Change Your World. Somehow or another, they picked me to be a facilitator. But we had this conversation about how that dark place that somebody says something to you and it puts you like in an oh shit dark place. And a lot of women, I'm going to probably men too, it takes weeks or months to come out of that place. And so I love what you just said about not giving up and winning the next decision. That's really, really powerful. I love that. How long did it take you to write your book? Isn't it like pretty big? It's a big, thick book, isn't it?
No, it's not that big.
I'm gonna have you're gonna have to sign my copy next time I see you.
All right. So, all right. I guess a quick story. So when COVID hit in 2020, I'll say that when the pandemic kind of started shutting things down, like my business got destroyed.
What business are you in? Tell everyone what you do.
So Winray Consulting is a leadership, sales, business development, scaling, coaching company primarily for the construction industry. Help contractors and service companies.
Because you were a contractor before too, right?
Long story. We can get into that, but not exactly.
Okay, got it.
So when basically work got halted for a period of time last year, and no one really knew what to expect. Like, how long is this going to last? What's going to happen? When will we be able to work again? No one really knew what was going to happen. So like I told some clients, let's pause for right now. Like you got to keep your cash on hand. You got to keep paying your employees. There's a lot of uncertainty. And I went from like 25 grand a month, like 2,500 a month, like March to April. And so my business got just vanished literally overnight. And I there was never a backup plan. I wasn't going to stop doing it. I wasn't going to give up on the dream of, running this company. And so I was like, I'm either going to crawl back into a bottle or I need to get really intentional. And so I was like, I'm going to write a book. And so I wrote the first 9 chapters in 3.5 weeks, like physically typed it, and then hit writer's block, hit a little bit of imposter syndrome, hit a little bit of like, oh shit, if I put this out, people are actually going to read it. I'm not sure I'm ready for that. And so I didn't touch it for like 8 months.
Oh, really?
And then so we got into the beginning of 2021. So like January, February, and I called my editor and I was like, if I don't have this book done and to you by the end of April, I'm going to pay you a $2,500 late fee.
Oh.
And that was enough to motivate me, because I had outlined 13 chapters when I first outlined the book. I wrote 9 chapters in 3.5 weeks, took 8 or 9 months off, wrote the next couple of chapters, did the final edits, had it done by the end of April. I think it launched sometime like July-ish of this year, July or August of this year. But so I would say like it took me 2 months of writing, but like it took me a whole year to finish it because I kind of like stepped away from it for a little while. But it's ironic though, and when I went back to reread the first 9 chapters, I was like, damn, it's a pretty good book. I even surprised myself going back and reading it. It was kind of cool experience, like, because I kind of forgot about it, right? I kind of forgot what I had written because it had been so long, and I knew like the concepts, but I actually was reading. I was like, damn, that's pretty good.
That's kind of where I'm at right now. I thought I was done. You and I have the same editor, by the way.
Yeah,
I thought I was done and turned it in. And so then I was like 30 days went by and I was like, hey, I'm waiting on you. And she's like, no, I'm waiting on you. You need to write more. And I was like, oh crap. But hey, we'll get it all done.
yeah.
So tell me about your Big Stud podcast. I want everyone listening to tune in to the Big Stud podcast. You lay some serious nuggets of golden wisdom.
Yeah, no, that's been a fun project, we'll call it. So the name, everybody's like, Mike, where'd the name come from? So
I think it's pretty easy, but go ahead and tell the story.
it's actually very ironic where it came from. So probably 3 years ago, I get a random text from an old relationship I had when I worked in corporate America. And he's like, hey, I don't know why, but bigstudsales.com is available. You should buy it. It was like one of those like $12 for 2-year type domains because no one would want that. And I was like, you know what? Like, I might use that at some point, so I'll buy it. And I completely forgot about it. And it was just like sitting in my GoDaddy account. And when I went to like, okay, I got to start the podcast, I racked my brain for probably a week and a half of what am I going to call this thing? And then I went into GoDaddy to like renew an email address or something. And I saw it and I was like, Big Stud Podcast. I'm going to name it that. And so I had that domain for no good reason because some random dude reached out to me about it. And then like, I was like, the more I thought about it, I was like, that fits pretty good. And so, yeah, the Big Stud Podcast was born. And, it's everything. It's sales, leadership, communication, marketing, operations. There's a lot of really good content. Like the first 70 episodes, I think it's the first 72 episodes is just me and a co-host just bantering about stuff. And then I started doing interviews with like high level people. And so for the last, 70 or so episodes, there's been guests on there dropping their knowledge. And, I've turned into what I would consider a pretty good interviewer. I'm good at pulling out good stories and asking good questions. And, I think we're at episode like 150 or something right now. I don't know exactly what I'm at, but something like that. And, I do a Mike's Monday Motivation every week. So it's a quick 5 to 10 minute in your face, get the week started type episode. Then every Wednesday I drop an interview. And every once in a while I drop a Mike's Gorilla Rant. And I'm really feeling angry about something. I'll yell at the audience a little bit. There's only been one Mike's Gorilla Rant so far, but there's more coming. But yeah, that's, it's been cool to see it grow. It's grown pretty substantially this year. I don't know what good numbers are, but I'm getting 6,000 to 7,000 downloads a month. So I'm pretty happy with that.
That's really good downloads.
Yeah.
What's the biggest, oh shit, scariest thing you've ever done?
Huh. Man, like, so every year I try to do something that gets me wildly out of my comfort zone. Okay. Every year I do something. Like the biggest, oh shit, scariest thing I've ever done. I'll say, man, that's a good question. I don't have an answer for that. The biggest thing, because like I said, every year I try to do something that gets me out of my comfort zone. So like this year was release the book. 2 years ago, I picked up jujitsu just for the whole year to try that. The year before that, I played adult baseball. The year before that, I ran a half marathon. So like I try to do something every year that gets me out of my comfort zone. Last year was starting the nonprofit. It all scares me just enough, right? Where like most things don't really scare me anymore. Like even standing on stage in front of Apex executives, like it doesn't bother me anymore because like I've done it, I've overcome it, I've accomplished it, I've figured it out, I made it happen. Potentially writing the book was one of the like. All right, so December 2019, I attempted suicide, and when I first wrote the book, it wasn't in there. And then when I went back to finish it, I I came home. My drive home from the gym is a very eventful trip most days, but I came home from the gym one day and I was just like ready to write about it. And I wrote it. I wrote the whole story out. And I ended up emailing it to my editor and I was like, this needs to be how the book opens. And so it's the beginning of the book is about that night and that situation and what I was going through and what I was thinking. And it's kind of where the title of the book came from, hashtag too strong. Like that was part of the story. And, so I think putting that story on paper and knowing it was going to be out there, I don't want to say it was the scariest thing I've ever done, but there was a lot of uncertainty in what is this going to do. But, my mindset around content and educational stuff has always been, if what I have to say will help one person, it's irresponsible of me to not say it. And so if everybody in the world hated me for putting that story out there or thought I was stupid for doing it, but it helped save one life, it helped one person realize they're not alone, it helped one person avoid that situation, then it was worth putting it out there. But there was definitely some uncertainty and fear around putting that story in the book because I still really hadn't come to terms with it. I'm not sure I still have, to be honest. So that was definitely I'd say like an anxiety ridden type decision. Maybe not scary, but it was intimidating.
That surprises me so much about you. And I have not read that yet, but I will absolutely start that tonight. So thank you for sharing that with the world, because yes, those innermost personal things that the whole world doesn't know, and then you put it out there to the whole world, I think it's hard. I think some of the stuff that we write about, even on socials, in our journals that turn into books, that's really hard to put that out there to the world forever, right? Because you can't go back and unpublish those books and take back those books that people bought.
Nope.
So tell me about, because I think, if I recall correctly, that you did the whole round of an entire year or so of 75 hard.
Yeah.
Tell me how that changed your life, if it did in fact change your life.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm currently in the middle of my 5th round of 75 hard.
That's so impressive.
Yeah. So the first time I did it was spring 2019. My wife and I were just not living our best lives. We knew something needed to change. We didn't know exactly what to do. And I was like, what's the hardest thing I can think of doing? 75 hard sounded like it was. We went on a weeks-long vacation to Napa. We ate and drank our faces off. And we started 75 hard the day we got back. Real bad decision.
Why is that?
I mean, just we were hungover from a whole week of drinking red wine and eating fatty foods, and just we were bloated and miserable. And it would have been hard to do anything at that point, but we decided to start 75 hard. So that first time through it was probably the biggest change of any of them. I've changed through every attempt. Right? I mean, I've completed it, but like every time I've done it, I've changed in a different way. But that first one was the biggest change, and it really, what it taught me was how weak my excuses are. And we ended up becoming excuse proof. Like I don't believe in anybody's excuses anymore, because at that time I had a 3 and 1 year old. We sold our house, moved in with my parents, bought a house and moved into that house and didn't fail the program during 75 hard. While growing a business, she was working corporate America. If we can do that, we are severely limiting and undervaluing what we're capable of. So we learned a lot. Like it was just hard. Like it was a commitment level we had never done before, while moving with young children and like all this stuff. It was hard, but we did it. We did not fail. And, that really taught us like what we're capable of and like how bullshit our excuses are. And then, so I've done it a couple of times since then, but then last year, I guess around this time, I decided I want to do the whole program. Like the whole Live Hard program, which is it's 75 hard plus 3 phases is the whole program.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the whole thing. And it takes 365 days to complete it. I finished it in August, and Tiff, I think, was a little frustrated with herself that she didn't finish the whole program. And so she asked me if I would support her in her trying that journey over the next year. And I said, well, the best way I know how to support you is to do it with you. So I'm going to do the whole program over again with her. And, we started, I'm on day 14 right now, 75 hard, and we will complete phase 3 will be September 2022. And we'll do the whole program together, and her and I will grow together. Every time we've done it together, we've grown as a couple, we've grown as individuals, we've grown as parents. And ultimately, the biggest thing you learn is how much more you're capable of, how important discipline is, how important structure is, how important prioritization is. And ultimately, you can get a lot more done in a day than you give yourself credit for when you learn to be intentional and eating right and hydrating right and not drinking. Like anybody who's done it realizes like you're operating normally at like a 4 or 5. You do 75 hard, you realize what an 8 or 9 feels like. And then when you get done, you go back to some old habits. You probably get back to a 5 or 6. You're still better than you used to be, but you're like, I'm nowhere near what I'm capable of. And like, it's very difficult to go back. Once you finish it, once you complete the program, it's something where you'll never go back to the way you were before it. Your body won't let you, your mind won't let you, you won't feel right. The mental fog comes back, the lack of discipline comes in, and like, it's what you learn is you have another gear and you like operating at that gear.
I love so much that you and Tiffany do this together. That's power couple shit right there. It really is. So all of these amazing things that you do that you have done, I'm going to say in the past couple of years, because if you were suicidal in December of 2019, that was less than 2 years ago, dude. That was like, so you have come a long full circle in the last, almost 2 years. What is your why?
It's as simple as I could make it, because I'm not a very intelligent person. I want to make an impact with every conversation I have. That's it. Just like win fast, win often. I want to make an impact with every conversation I have. So I have an I want statement. It's actually the background of my phone. It reads, so it's different than my why. So this is the I want. This is what I'm working towards. I don't think I am this yet, but it's what I want to be. It's my I am. It's my I want statement. So I want to be viewed as the example of a champion and be able to act on my wants and needs without hesitation. I want to be able to make decisions in my life where money and health are not part of the equation. That's what I want my life to look like. So I make intentional decisions, one win at a time, and I want to make an impact with every conversation I have. And that requires attention. Like, you're the 11th call I've done today.
Wow. Thank you for including me.
But I don't have a choice of not being prepared and not being attentive and not being, I'm worn out. Like, I'm going to be honest with you, like 11 hours of straight calls. I haven't stood up in 7 hours. Like, I haven't even been able to take a piss. Like, that's just that. And that's a typical day for me.
Right.
But it's not your fault that you're the 11th call of the day. So I have to be prepared for that. I have to be hydrated. I have to be fed. I have to get my workout in. I have to read. I have to do my morning routine. I have to be focused on being absolutely everything I can so I can deliver for you. And I focus on making an impact with every conversation I have, because you deserve the best version of me.
Thank you for that. You're absolutely correct. That makes perfect sense to me. That really, really does.
So I wake up every day. I follow the discipline. I follow the routine. I understand that I'm working towards something where, like, money and health, I don't want to have to worry about either one of those two things. That's my goal.
Where are you going to be in 3 years? What will your life look like in 3 years?
It's a great question.
Thank you.
I thought I knew it. I thought I had a great plan. And then this year, everything blew up, like, in a good way. The business, the brand, the influence, the capability. I'm a better communicator. Like, I thought I was good last year. I'm on a different level right now.
You are.
And I know it. And I'm acknowledging it, and I'm self-aware of it, that I'm like, whoa, like, God's working through me right now. Like 100%. Like, when I'm on stage, when I'm on podcasts, even this, like, I know I'm good at communicating in a way that creates an impact. Right. So, like, what am I going to do with that gift? I thought I knew. Right now, I'm honestly not sure, because I think I'm capable of even more than what I thought. This year proved that to me. And so 3 years from now, my coaching business win rate will be around. I'll have, 6 or so associate coaches. Tiff and I will be traveling a lot, probably speaking on stage together. I think we have a great couples story. And I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs and wives out there that need to hear more from us. So probably more of a Claudio brand separating from the win rate brand. And ideally supporting my 2 sons in a way that I never dreamed possible. That's what exactly does that look like? I don't know, but we're really considering right now potentially homeschooling them and traveling the world as the way, because I can do my job from anywhere in the world as long as I have an internet connection. So that's what we're working towards, and that's where, like, we've made a lot of intentional decisions over the last 4 years. So Tiff could leave her corporate job this year. And that was nothing else in our vision board could happen until that happened, because her being tied to a job was never going to let anything else we wanted to happen. So we made intentional decisions over the last 4 years to get us ready for this. And now we're kind of starting at ground zero, working towards, the vision boards and the lists and all the goals and targets we've come up with as a couple.
Outstanding. Tell the listeners your one basic, absolute must-have piece of advice from Mike Claudio to help them be better.
I would strongly suggest that everybody in detail writes down, what does winning look like to you?
Mm.
Because you can't win the next decision if you don't know which direction you're trying to go in. Because a lot of times, and this is where people, I think, really struggle. They come up with a vision or a dream. They're like, but I can't really have that. Like, I'm a college dropout, obese, alcoholic, suicidal person who will become a millionaire by 35.
Wow.
You're capable of anything.
Yep.
If you put your mind to it and you know how to win the next decision that leads you on the mission to get there. Right. And so if you can't put on paper in detail, what does winning look like to you, for you, not because of what your mom would think, not because of what your friends might think of you, not because of what your boss might think of you, your kids might think of you. What does winning look like to you, for you? One of the greatest realizations I had for myself is one of the best things I can do for the people in my life is become incredibly selfish. Because there's a difference between becoming selfish to take from others and becoming selfish to give to others. Because I can't give to people if I'm not focused on being the best version of me. And being the best version of me means focusing on me first. And that was an eye-opening, giant realization for me, and it has changed everything in my life. Because I realized, and this might be like one of the most asshole things I've said. I say some pretty dick stuff, but not everybody deserves the best version of me. And because if I'm pouring the best of me into everybody, the right people aren't getting enough of the best version of me. And that's not fair to them. So I got really selfish and everything got better because I understood what winning looked like to me.
That is absolutely brilliant and fabulous. And I so appreciate that you gave me your time today to share this and to be on this podcast to help other people, because that's really what it's all about. Helping people make those little tweaks, those little changes every single day, winning the next decision. I love that. I'm going to put that on my board. You are a bright light to our world. You are a godsend. And I absolutely appreciate you so much. And I can't wait till I get to see you again in person.
Are you going to live in November?
I can't. I have some travel issues right now that I can't travel, so I'm not going to.
Gotcha.
So, but I'm gonna miss that. But I will watch the
I'm
live
sure
stream
I'll
on the
see
group.
you. I'll see you soon at some point. I'm sure.
Oh, I will. Yeah, I've just got to get through this little spurt of no travel, and then I'll be back at it again. Rest assured, I will.
Awesome.
You are a rock star. Again, thank you so much. Everybody, buy Mike's book, follow his podcast because he is and donate to his charity. Um, I
So many
really,
things. So
yeah,
many calls to action.
I really have been working on that in the background for you. So anyway, but yeah, thanks again so much for being here. I really appreciate you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody, we are out for now. Thanks for tuning in, and I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.